Hello everyone. In this particular video, we will be learning about pass by value and pass by reference. Pass by value means a variable copy has been passed in a function, whereas pass by reference means the address where the data has been stored has been passed subsequently in a function. Let's understand that with help of an example. So you can see in this particular visualizer, you have some basic example in which there is some method example called pass by value. Let's click that and see what opens. So here you can see that there is a main method, static main method, the entry point of the program. Here you are creating a variable A with value 3. You created an array with in a curly braces. This is how you can another create an array. And you call a function and you pass the variable. Line number 20 will go to line number 3. Here, a variable x has been passed and it is storing the value of a. Static void reset, it does not return any value. So here it is written a, but here it is written x. Name can be anything. Just remember the types should be same. After that, I am printing the value of a. I call another reset function with an array this time. So you can see that reset function is being created. Now you might question, sir, can two different functions have same name? Yes, two different function or methods can have same name, but the parameters is the one which differentiates them. What is that? We call it method overloading, where two methods with same name can be there, but at the same time, what differentiates these two reset? The type of the parameter. So you can see both resets are there, one parameter in both of the resets, but at the same time, the type of the parameter is different. When the type of parameter is different, this differentiates both of the resets. So when you create two functions with same name and even the number of parameter is same, then the type of that parameter will differentiate both the resets. Let's say here it has one parameter. Suppose here it had two parameters, for example. Then also it would be considered different because it can be integer, it can be anything else. What I'm trying to say, this would have been considered different because even though same name, the number of parameter was different. This time even the number of parameter is same, so the type of the parameter should be different. Let's see that. We call this particular phenomena as method overloading. We will learn that in detail when we do oops. For now, let's see how it visualizes. So I also print this particular array using an inbuilt library. You can use a loop to print that array, traveling from index 0 till the end of the array, which is array dot length minus 1, the last index, using a loop and I plus plus and print every element at every index. You can also inbuilt print the array from Java utility.arrays. You call java.utility, or you can import java.utility here if you want. Import java.util.star. It will import every single utility. So you can directly write arrays dot. You don't need to write java.util specifically here because you already imported everything you need. So it will convert the whole array to string and then print that array. So it will actually add spaces also in between. Same thing below as well. It converts the whole array to a string and then print it. So even if the array contains integer values or whatever, it doesn't matter. It converts everything to string using dot to string method. Inbuilt there in arrays, there is so this is basically some sort of utility provided by Java. It has some method written internally called string. We don't have access to that. It internally converts everything which is provided to it to string format and then print it. Let's see how it works. When I click visualize execution, the code enters the main method where the string arguments has been passed. It declares variable a is equal to 3. We create an array as well. You can see we created an array as well. After that, we call reset function with a as passed, this particular a passed. So you can see a has been passed in x. We change the value of x to 0. So you can see very well that line number 21 pushes a function in the call stack, and we go to line number 4, line number 5 runs, and line number 6 runs. We are at line number 6. X has become 0. The variable a here, it is a primitive data type. That means a simple data type which is confined within a function only. It is not updated because it is being passed as a value. We created a copy of the value for this particular function and passed it here. It does not change anything for this particular a variable. Now, once the function is over, so line 6 will go back to line 21 of the main function. This reset function, which has been pushed in the call stack memory, will be popped out of the memory. Now, when I print a will remain as 3 as it is. I again call reset, but this time for an array. So, separate function I have created. This goes to line number 8. Now, same what we are doing, we are traveling over the array. Now, what is this? So, this is what we call for each. What does for each loop mean? Let's understand that. We know one way to travel over the array, correct? We actually know one way to travel over the array. This for each loop, instead of accessing elements of the array using an index, it directly accesses every element of the array. What does it mean? At every index of the array, there is an integer value, correct? So what I can do, I can create a so-called pointer or a some random temp point which will hold every single integer value of array one by one. So basically, I am traveling over the array using a for each loop where a random integer I points toward each of the elements of array one by one by one. Let's see how it works. So I will quickly visualize it and reach that point. So this particular I is not an index this time. It is holding the value. So I will first point to 5. Then I will point towards 10. After once like that iteration is over, I points towards 15. This is what we call for each loop. We declare array and everything done. Now when I call reset array from line 24, it goes to line number 6 or 8 basically. I think it is 8. Yeah, at line number 8 it goes and line number 9 runs. So you can see X, same array ARR. The address of ARR is passed in X array. So X array is also pointing towards the same address. I take a point I. You can see I is right now pointing towards 5. I make it 0, but it does not change anything in the array. I take I points towards 10 now. So this I is holding the value 10 now. One by one it is increasing. I tried making it 0, but loop keeps increasing. You can see there are no changes happening in the array. Array में ऐसे कोई changes नहीं हो रहे हैं. Whole loop is over because each element has been pointed towards I one by one. Every element done. Loop over. Last line of the function, closing bracket runs. Line 12 will go back to line 24 of the main function. Once line 12 runs, reset function will be pushed out of the call stack or popped from the call stack. Now, what happens? It goes back. So return void. It is not returning any value. It goes back to line 24 and line 25 runs. And I try to print the array using an inbuilt function, arrays.toString. It converts the whole array to a string format with relevant spaces and print it. This is an inbuilt method. You can see an array has been printed with brackets, comma, and everything taken care of. Now I call a reset function, really reset. It is again a void. Since it is static, so only static functions can be called. Since I'm not returning anything in it, it will be void. And this is what really reset, in which I'm passing an integer array. The name of the array is x, but both of x and ARR will hold the same value. Not value, basically, not same address, because whatever address of ARR is, that has been passed in x. So you can see x will also points toward the same array. Now, I actually access the array using indexes and actually go that index. I actually go to that index, you can see, and I make the value 0 there. So it actually changes things. Now I increases to 1. I go to that particular index and change the value inside the array. I access the value. This is what x of I, so x of 1. I go here. X is basically address. At that particular address, there is an array. In that particular array, there is an index I. I is right now 1. So whatever address of that array is, at that particular array, I get the whole memory, whole data all together. In that, I am asking that, okay, index 1 should be updated to 0. Now I move the index from 1 to 2. Now I go again to the array, x of I, that means whatever memory location. Inside that memory location, ith index, I is 2 right now. So the second index of the memory location where the array is being stored, that should be updated to 0. Now I increases to 3. Now 3 is the length of the array. X dot length is 3. X is the name of the array. So array is over. And line 17 goes back to line 26 of the main function and 27 run. Since X and ARR both are pointing towards the same address, and I am actually accessing the address using the indexes. 2 points. Again, I'm repeating. I am accessing the array using the indexes, and X and ARR both for holding the same address of the array where it is being created. That same address has been stored and passed from array then to X. Since at that particular location, I access each index and I went to that index, updated the value present at that particular index, hence the changes have been made. That's why when you print this array this time, it will print 0, 0, 0. This is what we call by reference because address of the array has been passed. How do you figure out when the address and when the value will be passed? New keyword will ensure that when you create a memory of this, you're trying to create something. String, array, these are data structures. They are allocated memory. Even if you don't use new keyword, still, it is an array. It is holding some data all together, not just a primitive data like one value, two value. No, that's not the case. It is actually holding collection of data all together. Hence, it will hold some address and that address is then stored in ARR variables. So right side resolves first, then it store that particular address wherever it has been created, memory allocated address given back in the ARR variable. Now, once the line number 28 runs, the main function is also over and main function will pop out of the calls tab. So whatever array, whatever variable have been created also get destroyed with main function getting popped out the calls tab. This gives a good visualization and good overview of call by value and call by reference. That's it for this lecture. Take care. Bye bye. See you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.